the world of driver development, there's two sides of the conversation. There's the engineering simulation technology and the multi-millions of dollars, which we know what those sims are capable of. We know that there is driver development solutions, and then there's what everybody calls a simulator in the world. We all kind of get lumped in the exact same category, which is unfair.
Yep.
But you take a look at the likes of what you've done in your racing career, and done a lot of it without simulation, then started in simulation, and then started advancing and helping more and more manufacturers go down that path.
And drivers.
And drivers, right? So let's talk about the driver development side. When you can see the young guns like Sebastian and Oliver Weldon, like Lucas Palacio, like Ty Fisher, that have all embraced our technology to take their driver development to the entire next level. Where do you see, people like the enthusiast that really wants to develop their skills versus someone that wants to go pro? Do you put them in the same category or with our technology, or are they in a category all by themselves where they don't need simulation technology and their weekends are the best? Where do you differentiate between who needs it and who doesn't?
Well, I think that's a very individual thing. I think if it's just the weekend warrior, and depending on what he's looking, does he want an arcade experience, or does he want a real world experience? Those are two very different things. As a driver development tool, I see it being most effective as, say, Jimmy Johnson, myself. So Jimmy drove Indy cars not the last few years, but 2 years before that. I came on board with Ganassi. I'd been, driving with Chip for 13, 14 years, training a lot of my teammates along the way, because I had a number of different teammates where had to help train them, bring them up.
Right.
And so when I look forward of where we're at right now, and I look back and see drivers, even the very successful drivers need help. They need guidance. They need somebody there with them. And I think, one, having these effective tools like these simulators is just the first step. The next step is having a driver with them at the simulator to help them. For instance, if I would get in and set the car up, this is what a GTP car needs to feel like. This is Daytona, 1,000,000 miles around that place. This is the bump, this is the line, this is what you have to be careful of. This is okay, this is not okay. If this happens, do this. If that happens, do this. And work hand in hand together with them to pound through a bunch of miles so they're getting the right basis for moving forward to attack that track. Let's call it the Rolex 24. There's a lot of things that happen, and just as we prep the cars and do everything we can before we get to the racetrack, we need to prep the drivers and do everything we can before we get there. And for young drivers, they need help from an experienced guy. And a lot of guys have their mentor, their teacher, their helper, their driver development trainer that goes hand in hand. So on the track as well as in the sim, both are important.